On the north side, we've got Blinchik as Cybran, and on the south, Keezer. This is going to be a Cybran mirror matchup. Good dealio. Rigger for Highlands. Oh, that was... whoops. Somebody misplaced their land factory right off the bat. Rigger for Highlands is a rather complicated map to play in a 1 versus 1 situation because it is rather punishing on your early builds. There's plenty of little choke points that you can hopefully tie up in order to restrict the flow of units into your base, but, and actually that's helped by the fact that there's no hover. Cybran versus Cybran matchup after all. But you will need to get your proper build together because air is a big deal. If you go second land, you are going to be able to move out and claim your expansions more quickly. There's a lot of mass to be had with all those extractors out there. But if you get air up early, you can potentially devastate your opponent with a few bombs. Those expansioneers take a long time to get back out into the world. So Keezer's going second land. If Blinchik takes a leap of faith and goes for first bomber, this could be bad. Oh no, that's actually third air. So Blinchik also going for 2 land factories right off the bat. Not as big a deal as I thought. So this map has got the mesas, of course. You can pick up an extra mass extractor and a little bit of reclaim with a couple of mexes if you decide to send a T1 artillery to kill the 2-point events. Then you've got reclaim out on the left and the right in those drops. And you also have 7, 8 mass extractors on your side expansions, which can be life or death when your eco is restricted to 4 mass extractors in your home base. You got to expand to your 5th and 6th and 7th, and any of those can be easily killed by run-bys. Blinchik planning for another 2 land factories, total of 4 after the air factory, and Keezer is now moving into his air and probably going to build more land factories adjacent. You can get, speaking of adjacency, a pile of it on this map. If you don't build these P-gens or you build this land factory here, you can actually get 4 factories with double mechs adjacency, reducing the cost of the units built in those factories by a significant percentage, and that can be enough to get 1 more land factory running than your opponent and giving you that 1 extra tank every few seconds that'll lead you to victory. T1 Air Scout heading out. Not going to get across the base right off though. There it is, so he'll know exactly what is going on with Keezer. Keezer moving out to pick up a couple of T1 power generators on the outside edge. Is that really 3 engineers? Nope, one of them is idle, so not 3 engies on the power queue. Keezer coming out ahead in score at 9 mass per tick with 240 power. He will get air out into the sky. Blinchik has got 1 extra mass extractor built, that one right there, for his slight mass advantage. But it looks like Keezer's going to double up on his mech, so things are going to come out almost exactly even. Nope, Blinchik will still come out 1 mass ahead as things move on. We got a couple of moles over this way. That is going to be a Mantis following up, just in case it's an engineer that expands and not the ACU. But in fact, there are both coming that way. Both are headed over there. Engineer was going to edge build, but the ACU is now going to move out to the front. That engineer is going to get redirected thanks to the combat units on that side, and Keezer is going to be a little bit more cautious. The steady flow of T1 units has begun. Blinchik doesn't have enough in one spot, unfortunately, to stop these Mantis moving through the center, but he is rapidly getting there. I think he had way too many scouts mixed into his early batches. We've got a total of 6 land factories online running, 22 mass per tick for Blinchik on the intake, 19 actual, not counting the reclaim, and that is some beautiful eco balance right there. We are going to lose a couple of mass extractors on the outside edges though, thanks to some raiding, and then these Mantis are going to be able to pick up this expansion as well. So all of that ground that Blinchik gained will be swept away once again. Thankfully though, he does have a couple of units on the left that are going to be able to run the same denial against Keezer. Keezer is going to be able to pick up all 3 mass extractors on this as long as all of the Mantis make it by. And yes, that is going to be the case. Blinchik moving his ACU over into this expansion, as is the tradition, and these Mantis now spreading out Gonna pick off that last mass extractor, and I think they were hunting for another engineer, but when that scout turned up dry, they turned back in to go ahead and defeat the units that were moving in thanks to superior numbers, and then move away as the ACU comes forward. So nice placement there from Keyser. Well done. He is still a couple mass per tick behind, but that's going to be fixed as he claims his expansions and gets things a-rolling. Nice run by for Blinchik, getting a Mantis into the rear to pick up that mass extractor. It's going to take a while to rebuild. Oh no! He left it with 23 HP! And the Cybern regen will slowly but surely bring that Mex back up to full health. It's a shame. It is a shame indeed that that Mantis didn't pick it off. It's going to hide right over here. There's no scout with these Mantis, but I'm sure they know exactly where it went. That one will probably get shut down. Surprisingly enough, Blinchik has actually gotten an engineer over into Keyser's expansion and is building the mass extractors. I'm not entirely sure why, because I doubt he's going to keep them long enough to pay for themselves with this other ACU moving forward, but more power to him if he wants to assimilate all of the territory that he can. Mantis is going to move out, Keyser giving chase, but that half-health son of a gun is going to get away and might live to kill another engineer the same day. We've got plenty of Mantis on the front line. This is where I struggle on this map, because when you get these units into the center, they're not able to easily access all of the edges. So if you have tanks over here, you got to either run around the south or the north to get to the middle. By that time, these units could have come through and run over here because of the kind of figure 8 shape of the center and all of the paths being cut off. If you misplace your units, you're gonna lose your expansions, and it kinda sucks. Over on the left, Keyser's gonna pick up those mass extractors as was told, and of course, since he is Cybern as well, he's able to rebuild them for half the price. Blinchik made the full investment, barely if even paid them off, and then Keyser came in and built all the mechs half price. Yeah, that sounds like a raw deal if ever I've heard it. Keyser now up 31 mass per tick to 27, moving forward to 37 mass per tick as he finishes off those mass extractors. And let's take a look at what is in the reclaim pile. 2,800 for Keyser and 2,800 for Blinchik. So very even across the board, except for that mass income. Very even on the reclaim is what I should have said. So we've still got the great standoff of the Mantis in the center, but we're now seeing a few units diverted to the left from Keyser. As far as the factory count goes, we've got 5 T1 and a T2. There's an early T2 shift for Cybern, and on the other side, we have 7 land factories. That's actually going to be a second air factory, which Keyser does not appear to have planned for. So we're going to see more T1 spam with more T1 air versus a T2 push with fewer T1 units built overall. But with Keyser being ahead on eco, I think this is totally going to work for him. We're going to have to see how Blinchik deals with the Rhinos showing up on the front. The only thing that might be bad, nope, Keyser is going to turn tail and run. The only thing that might throw a wrench in the works is Blinchik trashing the front force before the Rhinos can get up to reinforce. And those Rhinos are actually standing still here. I don't know why you're not moving, but you need to get up to the front line. Nice little engagement on the left, going to come out in favor of Keyser. Well done there. We got a pause on the transport build. So over on this side, you can see we've already got a drop to T1 artillery that are going to knock out the T1 point defense and allow the engineers in to build and reclaim. Well done on that side. And we've got a T1 factory edge build for Blinchik, which is quite a large investment. You put quite a bit of mass into that factory. It builds one T1 engineer and one T1 artillery. That's what I was going for. One T1 artillery and a couple engineers. And then it moves in and claims this, but you've lost the time because the transport's faster. You've lost the mass in the factory. And yes, it will pay it off eventually if you get the T2 up there, but it's just less efficient overall. So you don't want to be doing that if you can avoid it. Looking around the rest of the map, we've got a little bit of harassment going on. Blinchick losing a Mantis to a Medusa right as the Mass Extractor goes down. A few more Mantis moving around the outside edge. Keezer falling in love with the wall proposition, gonna try to lock down this edge, but not before a couple of Mantis make it through. I don't know that they're gonna be able to kill the NG because terrain and whatnot. But they are going to run by, kill the radar, and then head into the rear. One Rhino dispatched to deal with that, and then another Rhino to the south, where some Mantis have already run by and may cause some issues in the base. Overall, looks like Keezer does have it well in hand. We've got T2HQ, which is heavily assisted, and then 2 support factories. One of the factories has moved to producing only engineers, so we're probably going to see, like I said, either a mass air build or something else. Once you start seeing those engineers congregating, that's usually the way you go. Or we might see a T3 push, depending on how this goes. Is there T2 yet? There is. T2HQ right there. Got a T2 engineer out to build a P-Gen, bring things on track, and I think that that is a group assisting a single Medusa. That is so beautiful. It's so much more dynamic and perfect than the rectangular, blobby configurations of the past. I vote that we move to make circular unit groupings standard across FAF. Change up that whole ordeal. Or give you the option, you can like toggle it back and forth. At least. I know round only would be silly, but it would be so pretty to have them sitting around the map. It honestly would. Rhino moving out, gonna zap those Mantis to death. Gotta love those little lasers. Plinkety plinkety plink. But they do make a difference over time. Unless, of course, they're hitting the hills. Then you might run into a little bit of a problem. On the north, we got a stealth field and our first couple of Rhinos moving out. Looks like no support factories planned so far, but they may be buried deeper back in the queue. Although, well, no, it's not very heavy assistance either. Assistance has moved to upgrading the final T2 mechs in the configuration. Keezer has got 1 T2 mechs and is upgrading a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at the same time. Holy cow, did you stumble into a vast, rich reclaim field? That is a distinct possibility, probably this down here that's feeding it. They're both currently on even footing for mass income, but once those finish, Keezer is going to move into the lead. Although not by much, Blinchick is securing the rest of his mass extractors, moving right along. It might not turn out too badly. The last mass extractor is almost done, 70%. Blinchick, let's check the reclaim. 51K, or 5,100 in reclaim, beautifully balanced economy. On the other side, we have 57. So not that much reclaim, actually. This is going to move on to the late game, which is a bit of an oddity. Rieger Highlands, I should say not a bit of an oddity. Rieger Highlands tends to either end at the T1 phase or go to like T3. Because the T2 phase, generally speaking, unless it's pillars out of UEF, cannot influence the map in a heavily enough manner to win before T3 hits the field. So you typically end up with some T2 spam, but a T3 push most of the time, and then by that time map control has been won to the point where one side or the other just loses. And it appears that we are getting a fair bit of T2 spam on this game, but I would not be surprised in the slightest if, nope, never mind, that wasn't a T3 upgrade. If very shortly this changes to a T3. Might just be waiting for some more eco somewhere or another. No more mechs is upgrading? No more mechs is upgrading. Well, dang. This would be a good group of mechs. You could airdrop a T2 engineer up there and build a single TMD, and it would be very difficult for anything to get up there and kill them. Like a flak on the edge and a single T1 point events. You could have perfectly protected T3 mechs if you wanted to upgrade there straight away. Alright, T1 transport out. What is that carrying? That is a Rhino, so moving out somewhere or another. Probably, yes, up onto the plateau, kill a T1 radar, and a few mass extractors with a single unit behind enemy lines. Lost a T1 mechs on this side, so definitely need to make up for that. And right now it does look like Blinchik is suffering from a slight lack of units. I'm not sure what the exact count is. So it looks like we're seeing 35, 40 freaking rhinos. What? 40 rhinos and about 60 T1 units versus 12 rhinos, 70 mantis. Yeah, I was not kidding. There is a massive unit discrepancy between these two players. I can only hope, yes, that Blinchik is teching. So there's 2 additional T2 mass extractors over what his opponent has, and he's also getting 2 more. So Blinchik is hoping to go for the later game in the T3 phase to win this out. But there is a dangerous number of T2 forces on this map. And I can honestly say that this is the first time I have ever seen a dedicated Rhino spam. Like, I have never in my life seen it happen to this degree. I've seen a few Rhinos. I've seen a push, you know, to get T2 on the field, deal with Auroras, that kind of thing. And then you're moving to T3 because that's your end plan. But I have never seen this scale. And we're just looking at a growing number. We're at 44 and they're still coming out. There's the T3 upgrade. Hallelujah. We're going to get away from the Rhinos and see. I think those were loyalists queued after a T3 engineer. Kudos to Keyser for being the first. That's a hell of a lot of T2. He definitely could exert map control with that. He might even be able to win with that if he had continued streaming the Rhinos in. I mean, he's got enough. If he just forsakes this side, he could absolutely crush this in the middle. What do we got over here? 28 Rhinos and about 40 Mantis versus 16 Rhinos and 24 Mantis. So he's literally got double of both. Could crush that, move into the base, end of game. I don't know why he didn't. He's at 1.2k power, 77 mass per tick income. So he's gotten 3 T2 mass extractor upgrades on the hill as well. Drop those to keep up with Blinchik, although Blinchik is still moving forward, getting another upgrade there. Started a T2 air factory, all up and away on the Mesa. So he's gonna try to make a difference with that. The T3, though, might end badly. We got our first loyalist out on the field, second soon to follow. That might spell certain doom for the units that are out already. Keyser pulling ahead rapidly on Eco now. Just finished another clump of 3. Man, screw the assistants. I'm just gonna upgrade clumps. Plateau on the Eco for a while, and then all of a sudden, bam! 8 mass ahead. We do have a Cerberus turret online over here. T2 ACU for Blinchik, which is going to give him something to deny with, but honestly, without the gun upgrade, the Cybern T2 commander is not that great because you can only build Cerberus turrets, which can only do so much, and Cybern shields don't have that much HP. They're cheap and they're great for spamming, but they're not good for preventing direct snipes and that kind of thing. I would much rather have a gun comm for Cybern and build with the T2 engineers, unless it's a really turtly game. Alright, so Rhino going down over there, still leaving the advantage in Keyser's hands, and Keyser now pushing up to 90 mass per tick as he finishes yet more max upgrades. Are you building in the back? Yep, there it is. Nope, never mind. I thought it was, but it was a trick of the eyes. Rhino eliminated there, was able to make it through the point defense relatively unscathed, or at least alive, but not much further. We've got Loyalist, yes, on the front line now. Everything is streaming to the front, and it looks like Blinchik is gonna die. He's got T1, a single Cerberus turret, second Cerberus turret going down, and a lot of T1 point events versus T3 units. That is not gonna work out. He's on the wrong side to get in the water. He might be able to get it over there, but it's gonna be tight, and I don't know if his head will be under the water. Also, collision with T1 units is a bad thing when you're trying to get away. Oh, The Loyalists have surrounded him. There's the stun. ACU cannot escape. Looks like he might die before he even makes it to the water, and yes, that is the case. Okay, so what went wrong? We're gonna go look at Blinchick and 11K, 10K, even reclaim. What happened there? I think that what happened was Keyser was able to get a little bit better early control of the map, just a little, and his rating was pretty effective. He got his expansion a little bit sooner. He was just doing things slightly ahead of Blinchick. I don't think Blinchick did anything decisively wrong in that game. It was just overall, Keyser played just a little bit better and ended up winning it. Once he got ahead on the mass, started mass upgrading his T2 extractors and stuck in the T2 phase for that long to suppress everything that Blinchick was doing, that was just the end of it. So good game to both those guys, and congrats to Keyser. That is gonna wrap everything up for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, feel free to drop a like and share it with someone. If you want to support the channel, catch the streams, or join the Discord, check out the links in the description. Thank you all for being at least partially insane, and I will see you in the next one.